in the first episode of ParaDoc, 9 interesting implants that could soon be part of us. Number 1, nanochips that can heal. There are cyber implants that are implanted into patients and are directly connected to special smartphone apps. Thus, they can actually monitor and treat certain diseases. For example, you implant a sensor in a bionic. It means an artificial pancreas with which you could monitor the blood sugar levels of a diabetic using a smartphone app that is in contact with it. In London, they are currently developing a kind of swallowable mini-computer the size of a tablet that measures the blood sugar level of overweight people and generates genetic material that then creates a feeling of satiety. Number 2, implants connected to the smartphone. With these implants, our body should learn to carry out functions that every cell phone can already do. For example, storing information. In 2013, an artist had an RFID chip transplanted into his hand on which his pictures were stored. With this chip, he was able to display the art on his smartphone as soon as he held his smartphone over his hand. Scientists are also trying to develop sensors that are embedded in the hand and convert human bones into speakers. Other researchers are experimenting with eye implants that capture an image with a blink and transfer it to a nearby storage medium, for example, into a chip in the hand that was just mentioned. Number 3, birth control pills. In Cambridge, they are developing a chip that could perhaps replace the birth control pill. This chip is supposed to release small amounts of contraceptive hormones. This should be controllable using a special remote control so that if you decide to start a family, you can simply deactivate the hormone release at the push of a button. Number 4, cyber pills. British scientists are developing cyber pills that allow doctors to remotely track medication intake and the effect of the medication on the patient using RFID technology. It's about implants with microprocessors that can immediately send text messages to the doctor as soon as the patient doesn't take his medication properly or if the medication doesn't work as intended. Number 5, tattoo microchip. A team of scientists from Texas is developing skin-like, very thin stickers or tattoos that are attached to the wrist to measure pulse and heart currents. These microparticles are injected like ink under the surface of the skin and track or monitor the body's own processes, for example, stress levels, brain waves, and so on. Number 6, connecting the brain to the computer, people's eternal dream, a direct connection between brain and computer, or is the dream not eternal? A university in England is working on linking the brain with the computer. Mini electrons are implanted into the brain. This meant that nerve signals could actually be read by a computer, which could then be used to operate external devices. The aim of this technology is supposedly to enable severely disabled people with, for example, missing limbs to communicate through thoughts. Number 7, dust implants. They are working on a dust that consists of a series of mini nanocomputers with antennas that are smaller than a grain of sand. These are supposed to organize themselves into small networks in the body in order, for example, to attack cancer cells or to transport healing agents to an internal wound. Doctors could use it to treat patients without cutting them. Number 8, biodegradable batteries. A big problem with implant technology is how to get energy to the devices in the body. In Cambridge, they are also trying to produce biodegradable batteries that generate energy within the body and pass it on wirelessly to the devices. These should then simply fuse in the body and be biodegradable. Number 9, tracking chips. In the US military, RFID chips are already being implanted in soldiers so that troop movements can be tracked worldwide. This would mean that every person would be clearly identified and located. This system would mean a complete loss of privacy. The argument is that the fight against crime would be greatly improved and missing or kidnapped children would be found more quickly. In my opinion, there are already people who are extremely advanced with genetic engineering but are not publishing it to the masses. You can see how people are developing more and more into robots. What would be the point of improving the fight against crime through tracking chips when the state commits the bigger, if not the biggest, crime? Namely, to move towards the state soon controlling all people and having complete power over them. Perhaps in the best-case scenario, a life without crime is possible and a controlled but safe life according to the system. But is it really what we want? The brain is an incredibly complex organ that gives us all of our senses. We perceive this world through our brain, but what if our brain tells us something that isn't reality? We know this very well, especially when we sleep. That's why you really want to understand the brain, because this organ is so powerful. It could theoretically be that our brain is actually connected to a computer all the time, and we are not actually living this life, but it is just a computer simulation. So it cannot be ruled out at all that this life is some kind of dream. If you jump off the cliff or are killed in your dream at night, you wake up and return to reality. Couldn't it be that if we actually jump off the cliff and die, we also wake up from this dream called life? And in the next episode of ParaDoc, what happens in the world in a minute? If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, and if you don't want to miss any more videos from us in the future, don't forget to subscribe and press the bell. It would be a huge support to our work.